CNN royal commentator Kate Williams is a historian and lecturer at the University of London. James Boyes is a political analyst, professor of international political studies, and the author of a ton of books. Welcome to both of you. And you know, you think of Trump and Theresa May and what a difference a year makes, right? He insults her when he's there a year ago, and now you watch the two of them. Kate, first to you, and as we would say, it's warm and fuzzies. What did you think of that?
Yeah. Yes, very warm and fuzzy. I mean, in general, Trump has been, we might say, on his best behaviour during this trip so far. And you think he might have possibly patted the Queen, but apart from that, he has been surprisingly polite, we found. But certainly this was a big sort of, it was rather a love-in, I felt, very emotional, very sort of lots of mutual praise, and very interesting because obviously Trump has talked quite a lot about the importance of Brexit, about the importance of just doing it, which Theresa May, her approach to Brexit was much more cautious, and she is now no longer, in terms of a Prime Minister, she will be replaced with someone else, who probably, Boris Johnson, is in the front running for that, and Mr. Trump has praised him very hard, has also praised Mr. Nigel Farage, who is completely leading the charge for a hard Brexit against the Conservative Party. So on one hand, Mr. Trump was terribly lovey-dovey to an extent with Mrs. May. There's a lot of talking about the phenomenal relationship, a lot of talking about the extraordinary relationship we've had, a lot of great words, but really there's a difference between the words and the actions. The words might be praising Mrs. May, the words might be praising her negotiations, but in terms of his actions, he's really throwing his lot in with the hard Brexiteers who want us out of the European Union ASAP. And certainly the Queen herself talking about the importance of institutions, and that isn't like the EU, but the President takes a rather different view.
Let's jump in on Brexit. James, 3 years ago, President Obama sparked a sharp criticism when he warned that Brexit would put the UK, and I'm quoting, put the UK at the back of the queue in a trade deal with the US. And then you fast forward today, President Trump is saying Brexit has to happen. How is that being received?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? And it's the exact point I was going to raise. For the last 24, 36 hours, we've been hearing all kind of naysayers suggesting that this is the end of the special relationship because of Donald Trump. And we had that very warm press conference that Kate rightly refers to, in which Donald Trump gives the ultimate accolade. Perhaps you're a better negotiator than I am. This from the art of the deal maestro. Quite extraordinary. Donald Trump and Theresa May both wanted, I think, moving forward in getting a trade deal struck. Of course, we're in a at this point. The United Kingdom really can't start moving forward and threshing out any details until we are out of the European Union. But when, of course, it's remarkable, isn't it? We've heard all this idea that Donald Trump doesn't have a great relationship with the United Kingdom, and yet, of course, when you contrast his words with Barack Obama, it is quite a stark contrast, I think. And it's people's interests. It's in the United States' interests and Great Britain's interest to have this new bilateral trade agreement in place as soon as possible.
James, just a quick follow-up with you on Boris Johnson, a potential next prime minister. We know that everyone wanted to see if they would meet publicly. They will not be. Boris declined a meeting with the president, saying he had a pre-planned event. Do you think that was a wise move?
Well, it's an interesting move. Certainly, we do know that the president has leading lights in the Brexit movement this evening, in Duncan Smith as well as others. So for Boris Johnson to have declined, most people, I think, if asked to meet the president, would have cancelled everything quite. So I think it's possible that what he's done is try to clear the deck so that he can't be accused of being the president's poodle, dare I say it.
President's poodle. Haven't heard that one. Kate, back over to you. There is also this ongoing feud between President Trump and the mayor of London, Sadiq Khan. This was Trump at today's news conference on that.
I don't think he should be criticizing a representative of the United States that can do so much good for the United Kingdom. We talked about it before. He should be positive, not negative. He's a negative force, not a positive force. And if you look at what he said, he hurts the people of this great country. And I think he should actually focus on his job. It'd be a lot better if he did that. He could straighten out some of the problems that he has and probably some of the problems that he's caused.
Well, prior to those comments, Mayor Khan had this to say about Trump when he talked to our chief international correspondent, Clarissa Ward.
You know, that's the sort of behaviour I'd expect from an 11-year-old. You know, but it's for him to decide how he behaves. It's not for me to respond in a like manner. I think it's you know, beneath me to do childish tweets and name calling.
Were you surprised? Were you offended?
Not offended in the slightest. People tell me nothing this president does should surprise you.
So, Kate, you have the U.S. president going after the London mayor, but doesn't this all, in the end, elevate Mayor Khan? Is this something that he actually is enjoying?
I think certainly it's put him onto a bigger world stage, but really there's been a long history of animosity between President Trump and Mayor Khan. There really has been a long really history of disagreement, a long history of argument, and certainly I think Mr. Trump does blame Mr. Khan for the fact that the Trump blimp balloon, the giant balloon in the shape of a baby Trump, was allowed to fly over London. So really, I think we've seen Mr. Trump do his best, I think, to be on his best behaviour in terms of tweets, in terms of what he said. He even suggested that he didn't really say what he said, what he's reported to say about Meghan Markle. But the only person he's really going all guns blazing on is Mayor Khan. He's certainly someone who I think that Trump feels he can do, because other people in the government, other people might have more power. We really don't know at the moment who is going to be Prime Minister next, so he doesn't know who he can offend and who he can't offend. But I think there's a difficult relationship between the two of them, and certainly the main debate, I think, at the moment has been the discussion of the trade deal you were talking about, of where our National Health Service will fit into that, because obviously both Mr. Trump and the American ambassador, Mr. Harrelson, have said the NHS should be on the table. Various ministers have disagreed with this. So there are disagreements, and I am surprised that Mr. Khan hasn't waded into that NHS discussion as well. But certainly there's no love lost between the two of them, and I don't expect there's going to be any particular meeting between the two of them when they get on terribly well.
Sure. You mentioned the baby Trump blimp. We'll be talking to one of the protesters behind that thing coming up in a little bit. James and Kate, for now, thank you very much for coming on.